Our next speaker is Graciela Leal. She's a Latin American Program Manager, PCI Media Impact. And she's going to be talking about the projects in Colombia and Bolivia, partnering with journalism and community organizations to address violence against women. PCI Media is another media organization that we've been working with probably for more than a decade. And they have wonderful, innovative programs. And they look at using both entertainment media and other kinds of media to really promote change within the community and partnering with the community. And they really do wonderful work, and we've seen wonderful projects, so we'd love to hear on this one as well.
PCI Media Impact is an international organization. We are actually here in the same building, in the 5th floor. And we've been doing this work for many years now. We are a 30-year organization. And we specialize in something that is called entertainment education and communications for social development, or for development. So in PCI Media Impact, we have worked all across the world. Right now in Latin America, we're working in 4 countries, Peru, Bolivia, Colombia, and Mexico. And in the past, we've done also work in Honduras and Guatemala, and we also have work in the Caribbean. We also have work in, like a really heavy work in West Africa and in some Asian countries. So the work that I'm going to be presenting today is, as Dr. Carl said, 2 specific programs that we have right now in Colombia and Bolivia. And in these 2 programs, we have partnered with community organizations, but also with journalists and radio stations to address the issue of violence against women. So you're going to learn from the presentation, and as you may know, Bolivia is one of the countries in Latin America with the highest rates of violence against women. I think just in last year, 103 femicides were committed, and just between, I think, January and October. And and also, like in terms of freedom of speech, right now many of the radio stations and journalists in general are facing a lot of pressure from the government in terms of the type of reporting they're doing. So for us, working with radio stations and with community organizations, it has been a great opportunity to learn more how can our programs help to strengthen the way that they can work with the communities. Our approach is completely community-based. We are a capacity building organization. So working through this methodology has allowed them also to start working with the community members and start to raise a different voice that sometimes is not heard in general journalism. So as I was saying, PCI Media Impact, we work with storytelling. So we use the power of storytelling and creative media for promoting social change. So right now, as I was saying, we've been working around in 50 countries during these 30 years. And we've been able to produce many serial dramas and other programs addressing very different set of issues. We have 3 different thematic areas, health, environment, and social justice. And within these areas, we work like a variety of issues from violence against women to human trafficking to poaching or, for example, Ebola prevention right now in West Africa. So within this overall framework of entertainment education and C4D, that is communication for development, we use these 3 different components in every program that we develop. So we always have media products. That means we produce radio dramas or TV dramas or comic books, always following the methodology of entertainment education. We also have in every program interactive discussions, because we've come to learn from many years of doing this and from research that when you have a component that allows for interpersonal communication, for people to start talking about these issues and really engaging meaningful conversations around them, then behavior and social change can happen. And then we also have a component that is the mobilization campaigns, because we also think that staying on the radio, it's not enough. So it's important to actually do activities with the community So really advocacy campaigns and call to actions so that people can engage around the issues in a very different and daily life kind of way. So, but we do this not from New York, sitting in our desks and just thinking in terms of what are we going to do today in Bolivia. We are a capacity building organization, as I was saying, so we always work with local organizations because, like many times, like these organizations have the expertise already. They've been doing this work for many years. So what we provide as PCI Media Impact is just a communication piece. So for example, working with journalists or community radio stations, we provide a different set of eyes on how to approach these issues. So for example, through creating serial dramas or your TV dramas, then we can have a media product that addresses very complex issues in a non-threatening manner. So we always partner with organizations, and so today I'm going to be talking about a program we have in Colombia and a program we have in Bolivia that both address the issue of violence against women. A little bit of the situation. The program in Colombia is called Voices of Justice, and it's part of a program that is trying to address the issue of violence against women, but in the context of displacement. As you may know, Colombia, it has been in civil war. I mean, right now they say that we are in the post-war era, but it has been in war for many, many years, and that has created a huge amount of people displaced from their communities of origin. So, and women in this particular context become much more vulnerable to violence and to situations like this one. In Colombia, with the Voices of Justice program, what we did is we partnered with an organization that is called the Red Colombiana de Periodistas con Visión de Género, and it's basically a network of journalists that work with a gender perspective into their work. So with them, we partnered and we started to create a coalition of organizations in two areas of, really close to Bogota that have really high rates of displacement and violence against women. So with these organizations and community members in these two places, we started some training capacity building process in the entertainment education methodology. And after like 19 more or less like weekly workshop sessions, the community and this coalition were able to create their own serial drama, radio serial drama, addressing the issue of violence and alternative masculinities and different issues that were most important in that particular context. Because something that I didn't say is that in our methodology, the formative research process is very important. It always starts at the beginning. Once we have this coalition of partners, then a formative research process starts in order to contextualize the issues and to learn more about what is actually going on there. And all the stories that come into the serial dramas are real stories, but becomes fictional through characters. So that way, people can start talking about certain issues that in another way they wouldn't do it. So we partnered with them. Then we started all the broadcast, phase in which we partnered with 4 community radio stations, and each radio station developed their own local calling show. And a calling show, as I was explaining, is an opportunity not just to broadcast their serial drama, but also to bring experts into the conversation, community members, and many different key stakeholders in order to have meaningful conversations with the audience. So for example, imagine somebody that is feeling identified with a character, they can call to the show and they can talk about their experience. They can also learn about certain services in the region that can help in a specific situation. In this program, at the end, we always have a learning workshop, and in this workshop, we try to bring together all the people that have been participating in the program, from community members to, like everyone, like government institutions, everyone that has been part of it, in order to reflect upon the process, what happened, what didn't go well, and what things can we plan for sustainability. And in this particular process, it was really interesting because the community themselves, they wrote the radio drama, they produced the radio drama, and in some cases they also hosted some of these shows. So it was like a very community-based approach. And something that came up from this workshop is that the journalists that were implementing this program on the ground with local organizations, they realized that having like a voice from the community really brings something else into their work. And even though it's something that it may be like a given, you have to hear the voice of the people that you're reporting on. Sometimes it's actually not there. So I think for us it was like a very interesting part of the type of work that we do. And this is just one quote from one of the journalists in this red. So he was saying about the process for the red de periodistas con visión de género. Implementing a radio drama series was very meaningful. First, it allows us to see ourselves from the world of radio. Also, it allows us, the red, to work directly with a community-based approach. It has allowed us to have an impact using a different type of work that the red is used to. An impact that focuses on encouraging people from different neighborhoods in Bogotá to understand human rights, emphasizing on the voices of women themselves. This was done from a different angle. It allowed another possibility. Being said that, now I want to present like a second program that we have in Bolivia, also addressing the issue of violence against women. And as I was explaining a little bit earlier, Bolivia is one of the countries in Latin America with the highest rates of violence against women. And it also has, in 2013, they started to try to implement a new law to regulate violence against women and to protect women. So for this program, we partnered with the Department of State. And this was a program a little bit different than we usually have, because in this time, we didn't create or produce anything. We used some productions that we have had from the past, also in a program called Strong Women, Strong Voices, but regional. So what we did is to use some of those radio dramas that were already produced, and we brought together like 100 radio stations to present this work. And in these workshops, they were able also to work with anti-gender-based violence experts and activists and youth organizations and women organizations to have like a better sense on how to address the issue of violence against women as journalists, because it's a very complex issue. And I'm going to talk a little bit at the end how working with around 85% of men that were the radio hosts of these shows, and how the process allowed them to start also to rethink themselves as men and their own gender roles. And so I think also the work touched upon that very individual core of who we are. So after we did this huge workshop with 100 radio stations, then we selected only 40 radio stations to work more closely throughout a whole year of implementation. So with these 40 radio stations, we trained them also in the entertainment education methodology on how to produce and create their own local call-in shows. But we also asked them to partner with a local organization in their own communities that were doing work around violence against women already. So that link between civil society organizations and the media was also very powerful in this program. And we like now they have like partnerships already on their way, working together to keep addressing this issue. So we had 40 calling shows. It was all across Bolivia in the 3 regions of the country. So they were very varied calling shows, also in Quechua, in Spanish. And in this program, we also developed advocacy campaigns, like really concrete community actions that were done at the community level, engaging like a larger and wider audience. So I'm gonna show some pictures of the process, of the workshops, of the broadcast, and then some of the community mobilization activities. In one of the communities, they created like a huge marathon. It was really, really amazing, and I can speak, about the specifics and the specific examples later.
Adelante. Pues yo pienso que lo que está pasando está mal con nosotros, las mujeres cuando somos ignorantes, que no nos sabemos defender del marido, de que nos golpean, nos tratan mal, uno se siente derrotada porque no nos sabemos defender del marido. Y a veces decimos, no sabe, pero a ver, la ley no nos ayuda.
Ah, le gustó la verdad, ¿verdad?
Bastante de despertar a esas mujeres que no quieren abrir los ojos, que no quieren proceder a la denuncia del maltrato que son víctimas. Hay que hacerlo, hay que denunciar, no hay que seguir permitiendo.
Que casi me estoy viendo en la novela, estoy escuchando la narración de mi vida con mi esposo, mi primer esposo.
Me estoy dando cuenta que valemos como mujer y que ya no vale con esto que está pasando, de que ustedes están poniendo la novela, va a cambiar. Arriba las mujeres.
Eso, señores. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias por llamar.
So this is just like a quick example of the type of conversation that happen in the calling shows. And sometimes there are very complex issues, and sometimes the journalists themselves, they don't know what to do when some, people call, and, they're dealing with these, very hard situations. So it has been really interesting to see the process, not just with the audience, but also with the people that are developing the program. Thank you.